The county line. People in Miller's Creek liked to say nothing ever happened there. That was the lie everyone agreed to tell. Miller's Creek sat exactly where the paved road gave up and turned to gravel, right on the county line between Blackwood and Harlan counties. The map showed it as a dot. The locals said it used to be bigger before the mine closed, before the river shifted, before the woods started swallowing houses one by one. Evan Reed arrived in late October, when the trees were stripped bare and the sky hung low and gray like a ceiling about to collapse. He hadn't planned to stay long. 3 weeks, maybe 4. Just enough time to clean out his grandmother's house, sell what could be sold, and leave the rest to rot like the town itself. The house sat at the edge of the woods, same place it always had. White siding yellowed by decades of weather. Porch sagging, wind chimes clinking softly even when there was no wind. Evan stood at the foot of the steps with his hands in his jacket pockets, staring at it like it might blink first. "This is temporary," he said aloud. The woods did not respond. 1. The first night, the house smelled wrong. Not mold, not rot, something older, like damp earth that had been sealed away too long. Evan opened every window, but the smell clung to the walls, the floors, his clothes. He found a breaker box and flipped the power on. Lights flickered to life with a weak, buzzing hum. The refrigerator groaned like it resented being woken. That night, Evan slept on the couch, his grandmother's quilt pulled up to his chin. He dreamed of knocking. Not polite knocking. Not urgent knocking. Measured. Slow. Always 3 knocks. Always the same rhythm. When he woke, his heart was pounding, and the house was silent except for the ticking clock on the wall. He checked the door. Locked. The woods beyond the windows were dark and unmoving. 2. The town hadn't changed, which somehow made it worse. Same diner on Main Street. Same faded sign for the hardware store. Same gas station with 1 working pump. People recognized him immediately. "You're Lillian's grandson," the cashier said, squinting at him. "Evan, right?" He nodded. "She passed peaceful?" "Yes," he lied. The cashier nodded, satisfied. "Good." She was sensitive. That word followed him. At the diner, the waitress, Marlene, set his coffee down and leaned closer than necessary. "You staying at the house?" she asked quietly. "For now." Her smile stiffened. "Don't go into the woods behind it." "Why?" "Kind of line," she said. "Things get confused out there." Evan laughed because that was easier than asking what she meant. She did not laugh back. 3. On the 3rd night, the knocking came again. This time, Evan was awake. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. It came from the back of the house, where the woods pressed closest. Evan grabbed the fire poker and crept down the hallway. The sound was clearer now, coming from the basement door. His grandmother had never let him down there. "Old foundations," she'd say. "Unsafe." The knocking came again. Slower this time. Evan stood at the door, breathing hard. "Who's there?" he called. Silence. Then something scraped against the door from the other side, long and slow, like a fingernail dragged across wood. Evan backed away. In the morning, he found dirt under the door. Fresh. Damp. 4. He started sleeping with the lights on. The house made sounds, settling, shifting, but underneath it all was something else. A pressure, like the air itself was waiting. Evan found his grandmother's journals in a box under the bed. Dozens of notebooks filled with tight, slanted handwriting. Most entries were mundane. Weather, groceries, church gossip. Then, slowly they changed. They came back to the line last night. I heard them arguing. Couldn't understand the words. They don't like the boundary anymore. One entry was circled over and over until the paper tore. The woods are forgetting which side they're on. Evan took the journals to the library. The librarian, a thin man named Carl, glanced at the cover and froze. "You shouldn't have those," he said. "They're my grandmother's." Carl swallowed. She was the last one who remembered. Remembered what? The agreement. Carl wouldn't say more. He shut the library early that day. On the way home, Evan noticed something he hadn't before. The trees along the road leaned inward, branches stretching across the gravel like grasping fingers. And the county line sign, the rusted metal marker that read Blackwood/Harlan, had been twisted sideways, as if something had pushed through it. 6. That night, Evan dreamed of the woods. They were taller than they should be. Endless. The trees bent toward him, whispering with voices that overlapped and tangled. "You move the line," they hissed. "I didn't," Evans said. "You live on it." He woke with dirt in his mouth. 7. The basement door was open. Evans stood at the top of the stairs, heart hammering. The smell was stronger now, wet soil and iron. The stairs descended into darkness. No light switch. At the bottom, something shifted. "Grandma." He whispered, knowing how stupid it sounded. A voice answered. It sounded like her. "Evan," it said, "come down. I can't hold it anymore." 8. He didn't go down. Instead, he drove to Marlene's house and knocked until she answered. "They're crossing," he suddenly told her. "I knew it. The line's been weakening for years." "What are they?" Marlene looked past him toward the woods. "The ones that were here before. Before the counties. Before the roads. Why, my grandmother." She agreed to watch, to remind them where they stopped. And now, Marlene met his eyes. Now she's gone. That night, the house shook. The knocking came from everywhere. Walls, floors, ceiling. Voices rose from the basement, overlapping and frantic. "Too small. Too tight. Let us through." Evan fled into the woods without thinking, branches tearing at his jacket, roots grabbing his feet. The deeper he ran, the quieter it became, until he reached the county line. The sign lay broken on the ground. Beyond it, the woods looked wrong. Too dense. Too dark. Shapes moved between the trees that bent and twisted in ways no body should. One shape stepped forward. It wore his grandmother's face. "You were supposed to stay," it said gently. Evan backed away. "We need someone who remembers," it continued. "Someone who belongs to both sides." "I don't," Evan said. The thing smiled wider than her mouth could allow. "You do now." 10. They found Evan Reed the next morning, standing at the county line. He was barefoot, covered in dirt, eyes vacant. When Marlene touched his arm, he flinched. "The line's back," he whispered. "I'll put it back." "What about the house?" she asked. Evan smiled faintly. "The house doesn't matter anymore." The woods behind him were quiet. Too quiet. 11. People say Miller's Creek is peaceful again. The woods don't press so close. The knocking stopped. The basement door stays shut. Evan lives in the old house now. He never leaves town. Sometimes, late at night, neighbors swear they see him standing at the edge of the trees, whispering to something just out of sight. Always 3 words. "Stay. Right? There." And the woods listen.